Greetings, squires! The term Vtuber. Virtual streamers, virtual YouTubers, virtual waifus if I'm to be so bold.
Oh, cheeky.
Well, they're on the rise.
Oh no!
Calm down. A person can be whatever they so choose online, get a voice modulator and...
Be whatever virtual babe you want to be with absolute perfect features.
And of course, whatever unnatural augments you want. A naturally curvy body, you got it. Cat ears, no problem. Purple hair, jiggle physics, ray tracing, be my guest. Point is, with the correct skill to create, setup, rig, etc., there's a whole lot involved. I've just looked into it myself recently. There's a whole lot that goes into it, and I applaud anyone that does that. Anyone can be a VTuber if they put in the time and effort to do it themselves, or just pay someone to do it for you. For a very rudimentary setup, one would need face rig, 2D live cubism, and either an illustration for 2D or a 3D model that someone's made for you, and to actually have that set up requires some skill, which is why people normally charge for it, but if you're so inclined, there are tutorials with a learning curve that you can figure it out yourself. The popularity thereof is increasing more and more, and now because the items to create your own virtual self is becoming more readily available, more and more folks are creating virtual renditions of themselves and expect more of them. Let's take a look as to where the popularity came from and why it's so much on the rise as of late. Enter Vtubers, a newish revelation on the cusp of what might be considered somewhat cyberpunk. A blanketing term referring to virtual quote-unquote influencers. I use that term loosely to not make these folks look bad. Usually of an anime nature, at least initially. Waifus, man. Oh, nice. Wikipedia states that this is supposedly a Japanese originated thing. I can't believe that. Many have already started to amass a following, some of them massive followings in fact, with the likes of Project Melody, Silver Veil, Code Miko's now on the rise, who is doing amazingly.
I know. I learned.
And the one who is arguably trailblazing the scene with their continuous improvements and insane upgrades, AI Angel. Some might consider this to be how things will be, more and more so as the years go by, as our incessant need to be the height of perfection when it comes to our looks, for example. Anime and video games have taught us that this can be achieved if, and only if, we become waifus ourselves. Your virtual persona doesn't even have to have graphics to the utmost nth degree. People seem to gravitate, and if not, obsessively latch onto an attractive render of a female OC, regardless if it's a good VRChat model or an incredible real-time render with ray tracing.
Good God, that is beautiful.
Ah, Gil, good timing. You're an entity barely existing in a physical manifestation that some might consider a figment of one's imagination.
What?
What's your take on the ever-growing popularity of the proverbial VTuber?
Well, for starters, I did art for a popular VTuber.
Oh, really?
And I have a friend who is one. Even made me my very own VRchat self.
Wait, you do? You know one?
Yeah, you continue with your tirade. I'll get them.
Fantastic! Oh, you can count on it. Now, I'm pretty sure there are a number of factors that go into our sudden interest, nay, our intense intrigue when it comes to virtual babes. Firstly, let's just say anime has become so ingrained in people's lives at this point. Reality pales in comparison. Anime is designed to be eye candy, the girls are incredibly attractive, and the persona that goes along with it is so polarizing when compared to what the opposite sex is like in the rest of the world. We connect with them, are attracted to them, ship them because it's a fantasy that we feed ourselves, perhaps an unhealthy amount. Oh, definitely. When life is so lackluster, fantasy is just so much better. Secondly, video games. The escapism we rely on more and more in this world as we lose control of the world around us. There are notable video game characters that have become icons in this life. We all know them, and some of which have become the be-all end-all sex symbols despite that not being their purpose. Tifa, Samus, Triss, Liara, Chun-Li, Kasumi, Ivy, Quiet, Cortana, Lulu, Tubi, all of which struck a steamy chord with us in some way during our formative years. They are the height of attraction as they were designed to be perfection. But there's more. 'Tis the interaction. What? The virtual yet believably real factor that goes along with these virtual babes. It's what I believe is so enticing. These VTubers are real people. They're tangible. They react, they exist. An anime or video game waifu, don't say that again, that isn't a fictional being. They're damned near as real as you and I. Imagine telling a young person in the 90s that a video game babe was somebody you could interact with. That shit would blow their prepubescent mind.
Hey, sorry to interrupt your comprehensive babbling, but I have invited Dmantis, the, as you said, virtual entity.
Okay, composure, game face, presentable, professional. Oh, by the way, Gil, I need to borrow your VR chat model because I haven't got one.
I want it back.
So I have a clip of a conversation that I had with Mantis, a VTuber, a virtual streamer. And yeah, this is their take on what it's like to be a VTuber and why people do it, at least from their point of view. Have a listen. Hello there. You got a
Hello.
nice abode.
Thanks. Welcome. Welcome. This is my apartment. Make yourself
Yeah,
at home,
there's-
please.
At home, there's this giant vent over here. That's kind of disturbing.
It's just for aesthetic, okay? You know, it came with the
Gotcha,
apartment.
gotcha.
You got to get what you got to get here. There's not much choosing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll just take a seat right there. That's okay. If that's
Yeah.
cool with you.
Have a seat.
Cool. Nice. It just kind of appears. Yeah, I'm using Gil's avatar that you made for him because I don't have one.
Yes. How do you like it?
That's really cool. The vase is really red. I like how the jacket keeps pulsating. That's pretty damn cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
You first question. You
Mhm.
being a virtual entity yourself, you quite clearly have a masculine voice. Do you attempt to mask or modulate it at all to keep the persona going, to keep it seamless, or do you just carry on as normal?
To be honest, I've never have. From the time I first started, I never wanted to achieve, having a different voice. There's been a few times where, for fun, me and my friends have used the voice modulators, but it wasn't to mask anything. I'm always just, this is me, this is what you get. If you don't like the voice,
Yeah.
it's,
Okay.
fine. But no, I've never wanted to change my voice, but I've always wanted to change the appearance, but keep somewhat of my own personality still there.
It's so strange that people would. The level of expression people have nowadays with regards to what they could do in VR chat and whatever. Some might say that doing something like this in the past would have been frowned upon to some degree. Now it's just so damn acceptable. It's a damn cool age we're living in.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. It was I was kind of caught off guard when I first started to see how creative everyone was, and how some people
Yeah.
wanted to be like little, like my one friend was a mini fridge for the longest time, a literal mini fridge, and his name was Mini Fridge. So it's interesting to see what people do here.
With regards to the voice modulation, do you think it matters? I'll ask this simply because VTubers I've encountered before, or at least me clearly using a voice modulator, as I have messed around with a modulator before. So I know a lot of them mask it, and some of them are convincingly so because they don't have to just use a modulator. They have to change the way they speak. Women, obviously, feminine people or women, they have a certain way of speaking. So you can mask the voice all you want, but it's quite clearly a modulation. Dave, do you think it matters to some personas if they want to keep that going?
No, I honestly don't think it matters, especially like if you're within the group itself. And when I say group, I mean like the whole community, like the VChat, VRChat, Vtuber,
V streamers and so on.
V
all the
streamer, yeah,
Vs.
whatever you want to call it. Because I know a lot of people who are male like myself, who use voice modulators who try to sound female, but like you might find like 1 out of 20 people who question it, and if they question it, it's
Yeah.
something on the lines of like, well, why are you using a voice changer? And then it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But like
Yeah,
very
well,
very rarely do you find someone who's like confrontive and combative about it. It's happened before, but I don't think it matters at
maybe
all.
I imagine there are a fair amount of people that would regard themselves as masculine to the degree that if anybody on the outside would see them this way, it might be frowned upon, especially by the people that are of the more old-fashioned nature, as there are many. Do you think this is a new strange appearance of the expression to be something completely that they're not, especially when it's masculine portraying a feminine situation? Do you think it's odd that it suddenly arose, or do you think it was inevitable when the advent of VR chat came around or whatever?
That's a pretty good question. I would have to say it's inevitable. And I think you can see that is how fast and quickly the majority of the people adapted to the culture of VR chat. And what I mean by that
Yeah,
is
it's snowballed. It was so quick.
it really is, because for example, like when I first started playing, the first friend I ever made, he was in this like, I think it was a League of Legends character, maybe something else along those lines, but little girl with like bunny ears in very deep masculine voice. I mean, very deep, very masculine. He was like a Marine. He was
Oh,
in the
that's
military, and he was
interesting.
like boast about like his, masculine traits, but he was this little tiny, like 5 foot little feminine avatar.
It's
And
cool how he was open about that. Wasn't just like
yes,
yeah,
and he's the
I'm a
reason why
big Marine.
Yeah, exactly. He's the reason why I kind of quickly changed because I was a meme avatar. I was like a skeleton. And that
Oh,
was my
so
first thing. Yeah.
like middle ground, like you're not gonna go
Yeah.
full what you want to do yet, and just first see what others are doing, and then
Yeah.
quite clearly, this guy comes along. I was like, I could do that just fine then.
But he was like the first one I met, and he was like, "This is what people do. Mostly everyone's female." And he was like, "Go ahead and try it." And I was like, kind of iffy at first, like, why? Like it's, I don't know, scary in a sense. But
Sure,
like,
sure.
I took it on, and like, you just see everyone else is doing it right away, and you just assimilate, like almost
Oh yeah,
instantaneously.
yeah, yeah. All right.
It was like within a week, a couple days. I'd say the first week.
So it becomes the norm so fast that you don't feel like an outcast. You feel a bit more like you belong because you're like everyone else now.
Yeah,
Versus
exactly.
I'm a skeleton walking around trying to be funny versus just embracing the damn thing. Okay, so is this more of an artistic expression, or is this generally a greater sense of freedom in it to be what one wants to be, a truer, unfiltered form of expression, perhaps?
I think it's both. I mean, for
You think
me,
so?
yeah, for example, for me, I grew up using Photoshop and oil painting and stuff like that. But as I grew more into technology, I wanted to do something that I could easily express myself. And this has been an amazing outlet for me, creating avatars for myself and other people and
Oh,
doing
okay, I
rendering.
see.
Um,
I suppose for one who makes their own makes their own VRChat avatars, but I imagine people that also commission people that to do it, they obviously have an idea of what they want to look like. That's obviously a creative outlet of theirs as well, but they obviously don't have the means or capacity to do so. But it's
yeah,
still an artistic outlet for them because
it
it's their self-expression.
it is. It's a
Interesting.
huge aspect, and it's wonderful. I love it. I mean, if I had the skills and the time, I would really sit down and take maybe a class on how to actually use Blender and Substance Painter.
The public, do you people in your life, your family, your friends that are not virtual friends, reality,
But
do
so
they
in
know about
reality,
this side of you, or do you select who you tell?
very, very selective.
So most people close to you, family.
Honestly, like there is, my family knows that I play, my family knows that I commission, but they don't know my persona. No,
Okay. Are they particularly old-fashioned, you think?
very old fashioned.
Or
But I think they're
oh, is
open.
it?
I think it's just my own
Hmm.
insecurities, maybe, and fears.
Anyways, I'm gonna get up off this couch. It's been good. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
No. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I would extend my hand to shake yours, but I don't have the VR capabilities to do that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Rather, I'll just fade backwards into nothingness. Cheerio. And that is that, folks, from the horse's mouth, at least from one horse's mouth, in fact. Yeah, so I'm hoping that was somewhat informative. VTubers are on the rise, and there will be a mainstay in a very short amount of time. You can literally type it in on Twitter and see the amount of people that are coming up and the people that are learning to rig these face rig situations themselves. I find this an incredibly interesting topic. The things people do and the ends they will go to do that. Just to be something other than themselves, possibly even just a virtual version of themselves, to be what they might think is the best version of themselves. I'm going to upload the entirety of the conversation that I had with Dmantis on a slight respite, a little secondary channel that I have that I want to do podcastings every now and again, and in this case it was a VR chat podcast in a sense. Not a very long conversation, but I didn't fit all of it in this video. If you want to watch that whole thing, here's the link below. And again, Squires, thank you for coming around, it's been fun, I hope it was enjoyable, and until next time, cheerio, Squires. Greetings, Squires. Hot on the heels of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which took forever to create, ignoring the fact that it's only part 1, which was hot on the heels of Final